65 years without a league title, a club that lost 200 million euros in a single year, a team that dropped to 18th place, the lowest point in their club's history, and a club that just suffered their biggest ever Champions League defeat against a side they were supposed to walk past. This is what happens when giants stop being giants. We're talking about the club that won 9 league titles in a row, now getting humiliated 5-2 by Galatasaray. The Dutch giants who once reached the Champions League semis are now struggling badly in their league, failing to qualify for the Champions League. One club literally almost got thrown into the second division over debt. These are the fallen giants, 5 European powerhouses who have completely, embarrassingly forgotten how to win. Once upon a time, Lyon was the most dominant club in French football, and they weren't even close to being stopped. 7 consecutive League One titles from 2002 to 2008. 7 in a row. They produced world-class talents like Karim Benzema, were regulars in the Champions League quarterfinals and semifinals, and had an academy that was the gold standard of European football. But today, Lyon is a club in genuine crisis, and not just on the pitch. This is where it gets wild. In the summer of 2025, Lyon was actually relegated to League 2 by France's football financial watchdog, the DNCG. Not because they got relegated by results, but because their finances were so catastrophically mismanaged that the authorities just said, "You can't play in the top flight." The club had accumulated debts of around 175 million euros under American owner John Textor, who was also simultaneously running Crystal Palace, Botafogo, and several other clubs. They avoided actual League 2 football only by scraping through on appeal, selling key players like Maxence Kakare and Saïd Benrahma in a desperate fire sale to raise cash. And the financial bleeding didn't stop there. In their 2024-25 financial year, Lyon posted a record loss of over 200 million euros. For context, that's not a rough season. That is a club on life support. The 7-time French champions nearly ceased to exist as a top-flight club. They went from being the envy of European football to barely keeping the lights on. That is how far Lyon has fallen. If you want to talk about a complete institutional collapse, look no further than Ajax Amsterdam. This club won 4 European Cups, dominated Dutch football for decades, and in 2019 came within seconds, literally seconds, of reaching the Champions League semi-final before Lucas Moura broke Dutch hearts in stoppage time. That team under Erik ten Hag was beautiful, fluid, fearless, full of generational talent. Then Ten Hag left for Manchester United, and that is when everything fell apart. Sporting director Mark Overmars resigned in disgrace in 2022 after an inappropriate messages scandal. CEO Edwin van der Sar eventually burned out and left. The club went through 5 different managers in the space of just 2 years. They spent over 100 million euros on new signings who simply didn't fit. In the 2022-23 season, they had a 7-game winless run, got demolished 6-1 at home by Napoli, the biggest home defeat in their European history, and finished 3rd in the Eredivisie. And it kept getting worse. In October 2023, Ajax were sitting temporarily dead last, 18th in the Eredivisie for the first time in the club's entire history. Fans rioted, flares were thrown onto the pitch. It was chaos. In 2024-25, they somehow blew a 9-point lead with 5 games left and handed the title to PSV in what Opta described as the single biggest title collapse in European football history. Ajax aren't just struggling, they've been defined by epic, heartbreaking self-destruction for 3 years straight. Tottenham Hotspur, a club with a beautiful stadium, a passionate global fan base, and absolutely 0 league titles since 1961. Let that sink in. 65 years without a league championship. For context, the last time Spurs won the English top flight, the Beatles hadn't even formed yet. But beyond the historic trophy drought, the recent years have been genuinely painful to watch. In the 2024-25 season under Ange Postecoglou, Spurs finished 17th, 1 place above relegation, collecting only 38 points across the entire season and suffering 22 defeats. They did win the Europa League, snapping a 17-year trophy drought, but the league performances were nothing short of embarrassing for a club with their financial resources. Postecoglou was gone after that. Thomas Frank came in for 2025-26, and things didn't get much better domestically. By February 2026, Spurs were sitting 16th in the Premier League. They lost 2-1 at home to Newcastle, and Frank was sacked just days later, another manager out the door. The Spursy curse is real, it is ruthless, and it does not care who's managing. Now we get to the elephant in the room. Manchester United, 20 league titles, 3 Champions League trophies. Sir Alex Ferguson, the treble, the class of '92. For decades, this club was the absolute gold standard of English football. But Sir Alex retired in 2013, and since then, Manchester United have been a slow-motion disaster of transfer mistakes, managerial revolving doors, and deep institutional dysfunction, all playing out live in front of hundreds of millions of fans worldwide. The numbers from last season tell you everything. In 2024-25, United finished 15th, their lowest ever Premier League finish. They won only 11 games all season, suffered 18 defeats, and scored a measly 44 goals, the second fewest of any team that stayed up. 6 different clubs completed a league double over them, including Nottingham Forest and West Ham. For the first time since 2014, they are playing with 0 European football this season whatsoever. This is Manchester United, the club that used to haunt European nights. Now they're not even invited. Manager Ruben Amorim was sacked in January 2026 after barely 14 months in charge. Yet another managerial casualty in a long, painful list. With no Premier League winners left in the squad, and new owners Ineos trying to rebuild from the foundations up, this isn't just a dip in form. This is a club in a full identity crisis, desperately trying to remember who they are. And the number 1 spot is the club that has truly defined what a fall from grace looks like in modern football. Juventus, the old lady of Italian football. 36 Serie A titles, 9 consecutive league championships from 2012 to 2020. For nearly a decade, Juventus didn't just win, they won with boredom-inducing, stomach-turning consistency. They were untouchable. But the cracks started when they gambled everything on Cristiano Ronaldo for over 100 million euros back in 2018. The transfer drained finances and distorted the squad's balance, and while he scored goals, they never won the Champions League with him. He left. The debt stayed. Then came the Serie A points deduction scandal for financial irregularities. Then Allegri fired twice. Then Thiago Motta didn't last a full season. Then Igor Tudor was sacked after 7 months. And now in 2025-26, Luciano Spalletti is trying to hold things together as the squad falls apart underneath him. This season has been genuinely shocking. Juventus's decline has been clear in both Europe and domestically. Despite being Italy's most decorated club, they haven't won a Serie A title for a while and have struggled to make an impact in the Champions League, often exiting early, like when they lost 7-5 on aggregate to Galatasaray and are out of the Champions League. They lost 4 out of 5 games in the month of February alone. They currently sit in 5th place in Serie A, already 4 points off the Champions League spots. 3 different managers were fired in 3 consecutive seasons. The old lady isn't just struggling, she is in full-on freefall. And that is why Juventus takes the top spot on this list. And there you have it. 5 of Europe's greatest clubs all wrestling with the same brutal truth. When a dynasty ends, the fall is fast, ugly, and very public. The question now is, which of these giants will be the first to truly find their way back? Drop your pick in the comments.